Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to break down gameplay from Lumi where he dropped 8,100 damage with 31 eliminations. We're going to talk about all the tips that we can and help you improve in your gameplay. And look at that, insane. Be sure to follow Lumi on all social medias. Check out his YouTube channel, link down below, his Twitter. Be sure to let him know that you thought this gameplay was insane. So what we're going to do now, let's break it down and see how he did it. Now our goal here, and we're going to pause every once in a while and add some tips and how effectively he drops, how he maintains his pressure, and how he's able to win so many different encounters. One thing that Lumi does right off the rip is just knowing where guns are and be able to just pretty much go and fight. Hitting those bins are all so important, and maintaining a strong loot spot. Maintain dominance. Be confident that you're going to win off drop. Even if somebody contests you, that you'll turn and burn, that you know what to do. Veering away is going to net you less damage than what you saw here. Like, let's say if Lumi ran away far and wasn't confident, then I promise you he would have lost out in that early fight right there. Then he would have lost more opportunities. The thing that is great about Lumi's gameplay is also his confidence to win his 1v1s. A lot of damage, big spike damage from the wingman here. That also helps maintain a lot of pressure and clean up fights fast. So picking loadouts that are going to be fast, because the Mastiff is really insane also this season. And we'll see what Lumi actually rocks out with towards the end, but I guarantee you it's anything with strong burst damage that he can maintain a lot of pressure with. The Mastiff is just nutty this season, as well as see if he sticks with the L-Star. He dropped the wingman, so he gets a little bit of versatility there. So good damage here, gets a early knock, and going for swaps to maintain time is also important. So he noticed that he made a decision here. Let's go back. As soon as he dropped, he didn't just go for the armor swap, and the reason why he made the decision to point at this opponent is because he caught them off guard. If he went for the swap and the opponent saw him and then started shooting him, he probably would have netted out with the same HP. But because he caught the opponent off guard, it was an easy win. Then goes for the next objective of armor swapping. So if we go back and look at the armor swap, this is difficult for most players to understand. Sometimes the variables change, and they change so dynamically in every which way that they don't know when to deprioritize something and say, oh, I was going for the knock, or I was going for the armor swap, or I was going for the loot. Sometimes you have to drop that because new information is available where an opponent's looking at you. You have to jump on an opponent, or you stop the heal because they're literally like have their back turned and you can blast them for free. And sometimes you have to say, okay, now the priority has changed, and shift that priority. And so you shift that priority in that scenario where you say, can I have the jump on the opponent? Can I dish out more damage here? Am I going to be able to stay alive through this decision? All those things are very important. And as you start making those mistakes, go through your gameplay and say, oh, I went for the armor swap and I died. But what if you said, what if I just started shooting them first? Or maybe you started blasting them, but they saw you already come down, but you went for the armor swap, then zipped up, right? Another opponent. Look at where Lumi's using cover here too. I don't think Lumi gets enough credit for how smart he is. Notice how he used that cover to duck behind to minimize damage. There you go, see? Minimize the damage while swapping too. Really, really smart. Underrated as all heck. Insane thought process there. And then whenever you realize, okay, well, I need to maintain pressure and push, he maintains pressure and pushes. Uses a smoke for cover, goes for the armor swap, because that can cut down on time, because then all Lumi has to do is pop a cell in this scenario. And if all he has to do is pop a cell, well, there you go. And also, you know, you want to get those eliminations when you know nobody else is peeking. If nobody else is nearby and you want to get them out, because then there is an added benefit, especially in this game mode, because technically you eliminate opponent, then it points out where the enemies are located, essentially. Got the jump on them, and so you can kind of maintain pressure and keep peeking whenever you know that you have the jump on the opponent. So that's a decision where you stay aggro versus where you switch to defensive. You have to be able to gauge to the opponent whether or not you're going to win your 1v1. And of course, if you can't win your 1v1, I know people say, well, I can't win my ones. Go practice in the range. Go practice loadouts. Get comfortable. You know, don't worry about making as many mistakes. They're going to happen. There you go. There's a mistake, and he bleeds out, and that's where it is. Maybe the decision here, getting the jump, because we all whiff. This happens to all of us. Instead of pushing out, just stay behind cover and then focusing just one, or zipping up and to bait them back. It's another thing you could have done. It's always hindsight 2020. These decisions, they come split because you're playing a battle royale. You have one life, and luckily in this game mode you have multiple lives. So we're gonna let's poke ahead here whenever he drops, and let's take a look at his decision. So Lumi opts to hop towards the zip lines, and he catches somebody off guard. There's another moment he catches him off guard, but he bounces around a little bit until he can get his footing on how many opponents there are. Gets a clean knock, but he peeks again, tries to go for the armor swap, gets shot at, unfortunately, And you notice another thing. He stopped his shots midway through here. Let's take a look at this. Very important. Ready? I'm going to pause it. To reallocate his aim, because he knows, one, for the All-Star to regenerate it, but also to ensure he lands his remaining shots and it doesn't overheat. If you kept blasting and kept whiffing, it's okay to slow down your shots to say, I need to land this. Even when using a Peacekeeper or another loadout, to say, okay, wait a minute, restabilize. Where's my opponent? What am I doing? And how can I assess this? Really big. And then going for a clean reset. At that point, you can't stay in the encounter. With Apex Legends, it does take a while to heal up. So at some point, you have to tell yourself, we're slowing it down. So slow down. We wait here on towards the zip. Somebody's taking it. We see that. And he's got a few seconds, so it's okay to maintain some of this pressure. But he's patient. Catches them out while they're looting, which is great. But he's got 3 people on him, and this is going to be pretty bad. And maybe instead, in this scenario, he slowed it down just a little bit more, right? Or got to jump him on a different way. Sometimes you go for the initial jump, and sometimes you're right, and sometimes you're wrong. And you just kind of see there, he highlighted. I mean, that was a full pred stack, you know? It's going to happen. But sometimes you run into teammates. You have to gauge the difficulty level, and sometimes you gauge it right, and sometimes you gauge it wrong. But the only way you're able to improve upon that is by consistently landing on opponents and saying, is this a good opponent? Is this a bad opponent? Can I isolate them out? What can I do? And if they happen to be a 3-stack pred, then I guess the only realistic answer I can give you is that you could just, you're going to have to bait them so they can make a mistake. Every player makes an honest mistake. So let's skip ahead here. So Lumi does drop, and he hears another fight. So we're at 2,247 damage with 10 kills so far. Probably a little over, almost halfway through the match here. Because towards the end, it's going to get a little spicier. Because he's got them caught out through zone, that's why he's able to maintain so much pressure, and he's go for an armor swap here to slow down a little bit of the time. Uses cover there for a second, then goes back, goes for a bigger armor swap. Uses smoke for cover so he can go right back and forth. Keeps going for armor swaps. Armor swap city, essentially. Which is really good. I mean, it's constant changing of health pool. He uses smoke for cover. He went back into cover. He stopped the momentum once he realized that he couldn't win that encounter, and he's trying to clear his back, which is also a technique that can be used in rank. Clear your back so whenever you're pushing forward, you know where the most dangerous pressure is coming from. Or if you know the most dangerous pressure is in the front, but you're about to get sandwiched, you have to clear one side of it. And so choosing one side is a very tactful thing to do, and it's something you can employ even in your ranked gameplay. So another sign when teams are running away and that there's a sign of weakness and why he's pushing up, utility usage. So the Wraith is using a port, that's a sign they're running away. Or if a Wraith uses their tactical, it means that they're trying to disengage. If a Bangalore presses with a ultimate ability, it means they want to push, or they're trying to stave you off. And so try to use those little helpful hints. They're technically hints. They're giving them right to you. The opponent is telling you if they're confident in the fight or not. If they're confident, they're going to use the utility towards you. And if they're not, then they're going to wait. Because right now, let's say, for example, there's a reset here, but it works perfectly because it baits out the opponent to push. 2 of them pushed, and the third one's looking away at this point, and it causes for a great cleanup. Because they read the smoke was, okay, well, they're scared, so they're backing up, and we knock when we should push it. But also, they need to push strategically and make sure that they're focus firing. So the way to counter, let's say, what Lumi's doing is, like, the reality is what Lumi would get most frustrated about. I'm sure he'll listen back to this, like, stop giving him tips. Is that, I mean, holding hands. You saw the other Pred teams, like, just being on top of each other is probably one of the biggest things that you can do to stop or push effectively together. I mean, it is a team-based game. But of course, people make mistakes. That's what happens in these types of games. And Lumi is really an expert to making sure opponents make mistakes like that. Because he put the smoke, and then he waited and baited them out and reset and healed, and they pushed him. I mean, is pushing the best thing they could have done? Yes, but they got to do it together. Otherwise, stuff like that happens. 19 kills. There's still, what's crazy to say, there's still 11 more eliminations that he's going to get. And still a lot of damage. And I guarantee, this is what I'm going to tell you. Maintaining pressure towards the end zone and making sure you have enough ammo is key. So whether you're playing ranked or you're playing pubs, you need enough ammo, and don't be afraid to take your shots. Take your shots and net you out much better and much higher, okay? Now, prioritizing zone is also important because you notice that they have to go to zone. Like, at some point, if you hear teams fighting, you can't just keep pushing it. You got to slow it down at some point and know that you're not going to win it. So let's take a look what Lumi decides to do here, because they're seeing teams on the right shoot, and they're shooting somebody on the left, and they're leaving. Maintaining a little pressure because they're probably going to hopefully follow right behind them. He's got the zone literally on their butts as they start to move in. But I guarantee you towards the end here, you're going to see a lot of Lumi's range pressure come into play, which means that Lumi would be a great player in rank too. That's why I say the fundamentals of pubs going into ranked are just as important across the board. Luckily, his teammate actually put a zip down for his other teammate. And at least being in zone, they know the teams are nearby and that he can maintain pressure here because the zone is going to put more pressure on them and hopefully cause them to make a mistake. They were on this right. He was a few seconds late. So he's catching him out. He's passively healing while looking for information. Almost like putting a Watson gen by using the bank smoke. Maybe the best thing you could do here is hopefully flank behind them and sandwich them and push them forward and maintain that pressure. There you go. L-Star is actually crazy. Sleep on the L-Star. I mean, it's not great for close range, but it's great for having a large mag, which is what you need on these encounters. You'll notice that he's smart. Okay, see, this is a great use of utility, right? You probably ask, well, Lumi is fantastic in his 1v1s. Why would he back out from this encounter? Because he's got the opponents nearby and you got the bat off and you can't see anymore, but you see the gunfire on the left? It's not as effective anymore. So he uses the utility to slow him down, pressure them, and he goes for a reset to ensure that he can win the fight because he doesn't want to go down. Going down, I promise you, in this scenario, would have netted him less eliminations and less damage because now he can go back in because he knows the team is in front, which is what we predicted as well. That would have happened is that we want them to become the sandwich. And look at this. See, because he made the decision, it made sure that he could maintain this pressure over here. Oh no, he didn't get that knock. I wonder if they take it from him. Could he have gotten 32 kills? It was really close. And luckily there's a lot of cover. Even though he's not right on top of cover, he's still technically covered by the cars in front of him. This is what I like to call it range cover, right? This is great cover too, because at least he's keeping half of his body blocked here. Like, we'll pause it just so you see the visual. Look how much their body is exposed. And I promise you only half of his is showing. So winning they haven't even done any damage, but he's able to keep the pressure up here and he keeps peeking because they're not doing enough to him. Because they're not doing enough damage, that's just pretty much a net positive. It's like GG's at that point. Somebody decides to push solo, GG's. Able to go for the armor swap immediately and maintain pressure into a fight. This is what we call this is a true aggression, because then even though they did damage, it's pretty much negated as if that opponent did nothing, which is a fantastic spot to be in. More eliminations he gets, then of course in this game mode, then you can know exactly where opponents are at and maintain that pressure and pretty much win. But that's why you see so many of the armor swaps. You know ahead of time what their armor is, and so you can justify whether or not you want to go for the armor swap. If you saw blue, then Lumi wouldn't go for the armor swap because he has red. But if he sees purple and he knows they've done 50 damage to him, at least he can slow that down and just pop a cell. Or catch out a team, which is what he's doing right here. Really good damage. Has to stop peeking at some point, but he got the knock, so they're going to slow down. Has a smoke for cover, and then he's moving back in. Another technique that you use it in ranked, you use it in pubs, is the dynamic of going in and out. It's like you're boxing, right? I maintain the pressure to go in. Now I'm going to go back out again. Ready? Now he's going to pop probably another bat if he can't see them. There it is. And then he'll go back in. He was hoping, I was hoping too, hopefully that angle he was able to see them and do a lot more damage. But unfortunately they, didn't re-peak. But that ducking and weaving, right? He's ducking and weaving from each of these encounters. Now, the ducking weaving isn't effective. He takes a new angle because they know where he's at and they're hunkered down pretty hard. He did a lot of damage. He got a knock, but it wasn't enough for him to pretty much go in because you can't go in with flesh and you can't get the armor swap right on top of that opponent. So that's whenever you decide, is that swap or is that positioning smart for me to get what I'm doing? And I credit to Lumi here. Dude, you're like, I don't think Lumi realizes just how insane and intelligent he plays this game. I feel like he's so harsh on himself. You go to socials and tell him that he's too harsh on himself. Like how smart he plays this. I know he gets frustrated at times of the game, but his skill level is immaculate in terms of when he knows to go in and out of an encounter. A lot of people struggle with that. So he cancels the heal and decides just to go for the fight here. Because, you don't have a whole lot of time. Has to go for the arm swap immediately. It's the only option for him to stay alive. He actually gets it off. Oh my God, that's crazy. That's frustrating. He actually got the armor swap too. He actually would have stayed alive. All right, he knows his teammates are nearby. Look where he's landing. He's landing so they can sandwich them in. He's got his teammates putting pressure on the other side while he maintains pressure back on this side. He's got his zip at least put up from his teammate. He's got multiple zips, so he's got a way out. So he's not just being here for no reason. But he hasn't taken a whole lot of damage, and unfortunately the gen just zaps that away, which is unfortunate. He's got a Kimbo. He goes for a push because he knows that they're trying to reset. And he knows that his teammates are on the other side, so if he pushes pressure, it's like gating cattle or sheep. You'll push people into a certain direction just by maintaining damage, and they'll get nervous. So they're like, oh, we got to go somewhere. We have to push. So damage is a great way to do it. Maintaining pressure will get anybody to move off of a spot. Let's say, for example, let's use this as an example. Let's say you got Krabered. What's the first thing you're gonna do? Stand there or back up and reposition? Well, hopefully it's back up and reposition. That's gonna be your overall next step. You can't just stand there. You got Krabered, Now it's less clear whenever you don't see a massive spike of damage right away, but it does help under having that fundamental and understanding it. The Mozambiques are doing work. This is amazing. I love the double Mozambique. Smokes are here. He's blocking the door. Even if they were to shove it, they have to look through the smoke. Even though you have the outline, it can be hard to find somebody still in smoke. Gets a flank. 3 more kills. Only 4 more to go. Remember, if you enjoyed this commentary, and hopefully this is helpful, breaking down this gameplay, this is insane to look at. I know it seems like this is unachievable by everybody, but I always get the helpful tip that anybody can do this. And even though Lumi has a lot of confidence, I know that he is harsh on himself a lot. Make sure you bridge the line whether you're being too critical of yourself versus whenever you are trying to improve. So don't be too harsh on yourself all the time, but VOD review and be humble and honest of what you could have done. There's a few things that Lumi definitely could have done, and we saw the earlier eliminations that we even mentioned, and that's okay because a lot of also his gameplay is flawless and people make mistakes because that's what happens in a battle royale. Now, unfortunately, now he's solo, so he's got to make sure the other teams fight. He's got 2 teams, and everyone's kind of running around, and all he has to do, he sees a knock there. Oh, he goes for the repeat. He holds there. Look at that hold. Let's pause that. This is really smart because he could go for the armor swap, but he's hoping the opponent makes a mistake. All he needs is 1 more hammer point, essentially, almost, and he waits there. That's really smart. It's risky, but sometimes you got to play the high risk versus high reward. The reward was massive. And he's going for the high reward at this point. He's going to pop another smoke here in a second, and then I guarantee he's going to reset and try to bat as best he can. Because he's going to hopefully the other team pushes. This is what he's waiting for. He's not peeking this yet, but he's not going to heal up his flush because he knows that he can come in after they've done damage to each other. And now he's going to go for the med kit heal. So let's break this down, okay? This is important. So we pause here. They're fighting. Once you know they're fighting and you pop the battery, you know that they're low. So you want to go in there as fast as possible because they're focused on each other and it's a commitment. That's why you don't go for the flush heal right away. If you pop a medkit here, I guarantee the fight would have been finished, and then maybe they would have blocked you at the door, and then they would have gone for a reset. Then he goes for the medkit heal. Now in the past with aim flinch, there would be a reason to always go for batteries first. Oh man, he dropped. This was actually technically a mistake that he clutched. So be sure, again, follow Lumi, follow him on all socials. If you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to leave a like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you guys all in the next one.